Chapter 7 Part 1. Elias Thorne, at 25, was a sculpture of hard labor and quiet sorrow. His body was lean and strong, his hands calloused and permanently etched with earth, his face handsome but often clouded with a pensive gravity that belied his years. His home was the small, rustic caretaker's cottage near the derelict mill, its walls holding the ghost of his family's happiness. His days were spent working the fields of other men, particularly those of the wealthy landowner Malachi Croft, the nephew of the deceased Lord Croft. The irony was a bitter pill, laboring on land that had likely been purchased with the wealth his family's ruin had provided. His only solace was Alara. With hair the color of sun-ripened wheat and eyes as clear and calm as a summer sky, she was the daughter of the village baker, Bren. She had been his constant since childhood, a beacon of kindness in the shifting landscape of his disgrace. Her love was a gentle, steady force, a warm loaf of bread and a wedge of cheese left on his windowsill on a frosty morning, her silent presence beside him during the maypole dance, her hand finding his during the bonfire's glow at the harvest festival, her fingers lacing with his in a promise unspoken. "The past is a story, Elias," she murmured one evening as they sat on the banks of the Wending, the water reflecting the fiery hues of the dying sun. "A sad one, but it does not have to be the only one you tell. You are not your father's shadow." He squeezed her hand, wanting to believe her, to sink into the peace she offered. It was a future he could almost touch, a life of quiet contentment, of slowly earning back the trust of the village, stone by stone. A future with Alara meant healing, stability, and a love as deep and constant as the river itself. The announcement crackled through Oakhaven like a spark on dry tinder. A traveling carnival was coming for the midsummer fair. It was a rare event, a splash of garish color and foreign noise in their muted, predictable world. The fair arrived in a riot of noise and motion. Painted wagons with bright, peeling designs, barking showmen, acrobats, and the scent of exotic spices and frying sweets filled the village green. Elias walked with Alara, her hand tucked shyly in the crook of his arm, but his attention was pulled irresistibly toward the center of the excitement. As dusk bled into violet night, a crowd gathered around a circular stage. Drummers began a primal, pounding rhythm that vibrated deep in the chest. Then she emerged. Seraphine. She was a creature of fire and shadow. Her hair was a wild cascade of dark curls, her skin kissed by the sun and smoke of countless roadside fires. She wore skirts of a deep, shifting crimson that seemed to drink the torchlight, and her eyes, lined with kohl, scanned the crowd not with invitation, but with a challenge. She held 2 unlit torches. With a flick of her wrist, she dipped them into a brazier. Fire erupted, and she began to dance. She didn't just avoid the flames, she commanded them, weaving them into blinding arcs, sinuous spirals, and halos of brilliant, dangerous light. She was passion, danger, and freedom incarnate. Her gaze, fierce and knowing, swept over the enthralled villagers and landed, with arresting intensity, on Elias. It was a look that saw past the humble laborer, past the disgraced son, and saw only the man, his strength, his hidden pain, his potential for wildness. He felt pinned, recognized in a way that was both thrilling and terrifying. Later, drawn by a force he didn't understand, he found her behind the painted wagons, wiping sweat from her brow with a rough cloth. "You are the miller's son," she stated, her voice a low, smoky thing that coiled in the night air. It wasn't a question. "The mill is silent," he replied, his own voice feeling rough and simple in comparison. A sly, knowing smile touched her lips. "Silent things can be woken. You have the look of a man who is also sleeping. I am Seraphine, and I have always preferred fire to silence." She turned and disappeared into the darkened doorway of her wagon, leaving Elias alone with the hammering of his own heart, the world suddenly tilting on its axis.